Hey guys, welcome to another episode of SEO on Air. So, guys, I have an interesting question for you today. If you publish a post stuffed with tons of keywords on it, still in 2020, do you guys really think that it's going to rank on Google well? I think the answer would most probably be not because Google has gone beyond the keyword stuffing and sort of stuff. The on-page SEO landscape has completely changed. There's a lot of advanced techniques that has come in, and to talk more about it, we have Mr. Cody Jensen. So he's the founder and CEO of SearchBloom. Cody, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
Great. So, guys, to give you an introduction about Cody, he started his career in Google, and he's worked with a lot of digital marketing agencies. And before founding SearchBloom, so he's been the founder and CEO for the firm since 2015. It's been over 5 years now, and SearchBloom is one of the leading digital marketing agencies in the US. And they have done quite a lot of interesting work out there, and more about it later. And so, Cody, so let's jump in.
Sounds great.
Cool. So Cody, like I was mentioning in the introduction, the advanced the techniques used in on-page SEO. There's a lot of new things is coming in, right? But still, there are few things which are evergreen. So could you please share with us few insights, a few tips, that could help with advanced SEO techniques?
Sure. Back 10 years ago, you could, like you mentioned in the beginning, you could stuff a page with keywords. Maybe even 15 years ago, you could stuff a page with keywords and Google would pick up on those keywords and you could rank. You could also build a bunch of links to a page that were kind of terrible links and Google would see those as positive signals. The Google algorithm has evolved substantially over the years, especially over the past 3 years. And one tip would be making sure that your website is friendly to mobile. Most of the majority of traffic nowadays is actually happening on mobile devices, and making sure that your website is mobile friendly or responsive to all of your different device sizes and types. That's going to be a massive opportunity for businesses, small and large, to get in front of their core audience. In addition, with mobile optimization, you also want your website to be loading quickly. Obviously, for user experience, if there's been a lot of studies, that suggest if a user has to wait more than 3 seconds for your page to load, they're going to bounce and find another result.
Yep.
So in that case, yeah, I would recommend a big part of that would be site speed as well.
Great. So yeah, so we're beginning with the big one itself, the mobile optimization, the responsiveness, and the site speed. So yeah, what would be the tip number two, Corey?
Sure. One thing that you can do is to make sure that your content is obviously more readable, kind of like having a conversation rather than just a bunch of information that's perhaps listed out. Certainly, you'll want to have that type of content framework. However, making sure that your content is readable, I recommend using like a comprehensive content grader like ClearScope. ClearScope helps you to not speak over your audience and basically break down what you're trying to say into layman's terms so that people can get it, they understand what you're saying, and then they keep on reading. That, of course, will increase the time that they spend on that page. And Google will then see, oh, users that are clicking on this result are staying on this page and are actually interacting with this page and this website for a certain amount of time, which is perhaps more than the other results within the search engine results page. And they'll give you a bit of a leg up when it comes to your rankings. So again, increasing your content readability via a few tools that you can use. There's many of them out there. But the one that we really like is ClearScope.
Great. Awesome. So it's good that you touched upon the content readability part, Cody, because you yourself have written a beautiful blog post. It's like I wouldn't say a blog post. It's a definitive checklist, right?
Yeah, it's like a listicle, right? So that's one of our content frameworks is a listicle, and it goes through a very comprehensive, simple guide, but it's very comprehensive on an SEO checklist.
Great. So guys who's listening to this, if you're not able to recollect what we are talking about, we're going to link out to this particular post that Cody has written on our website. It's a very comprehensive list. You guys have to check that out. We'll link it out in this post. Yes, Cody. So yeah, we have so far covered the mobile speed, the mobile friendliness, the site speed, and the content readability stuff. So what is tip number three?
Sure. Typically what happens when a small business or even a medium-sized business doesn't have an in-house marketing team or doesn't have an SEO agency, they're just, going to their, whether it's WordPress or Squarespace or Wix or whatever it might be, they're going to their website and they're just publishing information. And then they go in and they try to learn about SEO, and they learn that, oh, I need to have keywords in my URL. And then their URL, because they're trying to stuff it with keywords, becomes 60 characters long or 100 characters long, which is just, it's too long.
Yep.
Google wants you to have a concise URLs. Now, that doesn't mean for very big websites you can't have long URLs, but your URL structure, it should contain your target keywords. That can, in an e-commerce world, for example, we would want to make sure that at the category level, we're incorporating keywords at the subcategory level and at the individual product level. Now, if you're not in e-commerce and your website only has, say, 100 pages, it doesn't matter so much. You're not going to leak authority that way as much as you would with a page that, or a website that has 1 million URLs or 10 million URLs. So ideally, you're trying to keep your SEOs or your URLs very SEO friendly by keeping them concise, but also incorporating your keyword targets within that as well.
Awesome. Yes. So that is being checked now, the SEO friendly URLs. And so what would be the next one?
Yeah, and another tip that I would recommend would be, your meta titles and your meta descriptions. Just like, when you write a page in a paper in college or in school, you have to give that paper a name. You have to give that subject matter a name, and you want to be very descriptive
Yep.
with the title of that, as well as the introduction or the description. It's the same thing with a web page. Think of it very much like a coded version of a Word document. You have to have your target keywords within the title. Otherwise, you're never going to really rank for those target keywords, because Google sees that meta title as one of the primary ranking factors of that individual page. So beginning your page with a particular keyword with a little bit of click-through rate opportunity there as well, and then selling them on why they should click through via your meta description allows for an opportunity to increase your CTRs, your click-through rates, as well as tackles the keyword targeting point of view with the title tag optimization.
Absolutely. So who would want to just rank the particular page but still not getting enough clicks, right? So absolutely, the title and description has to be standing out. That's when, because the hard work is being done, but if the people are not going to click on your results, then the whole effort is going to be going for the waste. So this is something which is really critical. I think a lot of people overlook at it, title descriptions, but they think it's too basic, but actually that is still the powerful one, like you mentioned.
Right.
Great. So what's next?
Well, the next thing would probably be the variations of your title tags and your meta descriptions. When I say variations, I mean, for example, let's say I'm an attorney. If I'm an attorney and I'm licensed to practice law in, say, Utah, which is where SearchBloom is, and let's say I specifically want to target Salt Lake City here in Utah. Well, I would probably want to put that in my title tag, right?
Right.
Divorce attorney, Salt Lake City, get a free consultation, etc. And then and you would put that consultation information in the meta description
Right.
to get that click-through rate. The title itself, that's called a geo modifier. So when you add a geographic location to your meta title tag, then that allows you to be hyper relevant to your searching, to your core audience, really.
Right. Right. Oh, that's an interesting tip. So yes, adding modifiers should definitely help as well. Great. So what's tip number 6, Cody?
Yeah, and just a bit more on modifiers. There are so many different ways that you can modify your title tags. Sure, geographically is one way, but you can also add character symbols to entice click-through rate. You can add, tips and tricks and different click-through opportunities within your modifiers, within your title rather, to again help that click-through rate. My sixth tip would be publishing long-form content. Nowadays you're competing with a lot of really big companies out there that can afford to, say, for example, hire an SEO company like mine, and from there we publish long form content so that we can compete with the likes of Amazon or Walmart and the like.
Right.
Now, in order to really publish long form content, you must start with a content wireframe or some sort of content framework where you have your bullet points, your targets, your keyword research, and then you go into really describing each of those in depth, right? Without going over people's heads, right? You don't want to use too much technical talk there. You have to in some cases, but you also want to wrap that with some information that is for the layman, right? For someone that's not an SEO expert or not a particular uh, uh, discipline expert on this particular topic. So long form content is crucial. Obviously, this would be housed under the blog. It can also be housed under the your service pages. If you're a service business like we are, our local SEO service page, for example, has over 5,000 words. That's a
Wow.
long form piece of content that is our service page. It ranks fairly well. We're on the first page of Google. Another thing that I would mention is incorporating latent semantic indexing.
Right.
That's a really tough term for a lot of folks to understand, but just to break it down, uh, it's more or less very similar keywords to your target keywords. So if I, for example, if local SEO is one of my keywords, I would start using a tool to help me understand what are some similar keywords to local SEO. And I like to use a tool called lsigraph.com. It's a free tool for everybody, and you can go in and type in your keyword, type in your location and your language, and then from there you can get all kinds of different variations. Using latent semantic indexing allows you to be more topically relevant rather than just go ahead and just stuff your long form piece of content where with keywords where it doesn't really flow well. You want to use these latent semantic indexing keywords to uh, really help describe what the topic, the overarching macro of the topic of the long form post would be.
Right. Times have really changed, right? So previously, probably 10 years back, we'd be focusing on each keyword. We'll try to have one page focusing on one keyword and write some few hundred words about it. Probably we can get away with such thin content. But these days, Google is really smart. They can easily figure out such thin content that's been really made just for the sake of ranking on Google. So I think
Absolutely.
this actually, it also triggers one more thing, Cody, because the moment you have a really long form content with more and more LSI keywords, I think it also gets into that EAT guidelines, right? Because you're putting in an authoritative and expert level content out there, and that's going to be a good signal for Google as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. Google's BERT and their instructions around EAT or EAT are very critical to ranking a piece of content, or ranking a web page or a domain. So in order to again to do that, you want to be authoritative, comprehensive with your content. Back in the day, like you mentioned, we could publish a couple hundred words with a optimized title tag and meta description, and you're targeting one keyword. Well, nowadays, because we're being so vast and comprehensive with our content, we have ranked pages for not just 1,000 keywords, but tens of thousands of keywords, and
Right.
they rank very, very well. But that again, it takes an experienced SEO to go in and make sure that your title tag is optimized not just for one type of keyword, but also many others as well. And the way that you do that is incorporating your LSI keywords within the body of the content, within your H tags or your heading tags, so on and so forth.
Excellent. Yeah. So great. So far we have covered about six. So is there anything left in the tank?
Oh yeah, we've got lots in the tank. This is just the beginning. We're scratching the surface right now.
Great.
Tip number 7 would be internal links. Internal links are links that are coming from one of your pages to another one of your pages on your website, right? So for example, my homepage has let's say again, I'm an attorney. On my homepage, I list out all of my services. My homepage gets the majority of the inbound links from other websites. So it has authority from these other websites that's trickling through. What I'm trying to do now is pass that authority onto my individual. For example, with a divorce or with an attorney, I would have my divorce page, my practice area pages I would link out from the home page to those individual practice area pages. That's an example of an internal link. You want to have internal links from, for example, your long form blog post that's getting quite a bit of traffic. Well, you want to use what we call the middleman method to get your users to go to this long page or long form piece of content and route them to your product, to your service, to your categories
Right.
in order to monetize that traffic. Not only does it help with user experience because they can quickly go to your products or your service, but it also passes authority from pages that are inheriting that authority from other sites, and it passes it to your pages that really, really matter. Internal links are often the most overlooked opportunity in on-page search engine optimization.
Absolutely, I'm with you on that. So definitely internal linking is definitely the key. Right. So now that we have this long form content, we have this interlinks done. So what more do we have?
Well, a lot of people don't, what we call users nowadays is skimmers, frankly, because users will come to a web page, even if it's long form, and they're going to skim your content. Like I
Yeah.
said, if you have a web page that's 5,000 words, 10,000 words, they're not going to read that entire thing in one setting. They might bookmark it and come back later and try to use that information to the best of their abilities and continue to consume it. However, in order to really get people's attention and help them and really help them and guide them through the content, you want to use, images. And media, for example, will help users see what you're trying to describe in words, but you can do it using images. But
Right.
be careful here. There's a bit of a trick here. If you're adding a ton of screenshots or media or images to your long form piece of content or blog post or whatever it might be, those images can be very big. They can make the page itself increase dramatically in size. So what you want to do is optimize your images. We love to use a tool called Tiny PNG. If you're on WordPress, they have an API. It's really great, and it can automatically, update your images and optimize them. And what it does is it compresses the image. It doesn't necessarily make the image look much different at all. In fact, you probably wouldn't be able to tell from the naked eye, but it does make the size of the image, I'm talking the actual image size, much smaller, and that allows your page to load faster because it doesn't have as much information it has to consume. The browser doesn't.
Mhm.
In addition to that, it will, like I said, load quite a bit faster because it's not as big.
Right. Absolutely. So someone with not like a too technical know-how, when we were discussing, in fact, our first tip was about the site speed and mobile friendliness. So I think this could be a great starting point. Look at the images and try to optimize it so that could help with this. I think majority of the page gets loaded slowly. I think mainly because of the images, because of the size. Sometimes people just upload the 5 MB, 4 MB,
Yeah,
even the HD images,
right.
and they are going to literally slow your site down.
And really, we don't consume content in 4K right now. We're just not to that point,
Yeah.
and it doesn't. You don't need to have that high quality of an image in order to convey what you're trying to convey or educate what you're trying to educate. So my tip here is twofold. Leverage Tiny PNG. It's really great. Also, there's a lot of different plugins if you're on WordPress, like WP Rocket. It's really great. It enables lazy loading images, so it doesn't actually load the image until the user gets to that image.
Right.
So your first, your web page actually doesn't have to load completely before the user even gets to that image that's maybe your fourth image down the page.
Right.
Those are two tips that I would recommend. In addition, when it comes to site speed, there's some global things that you can do that are they're kind of like out of the box. If you have a good hosting company, we really like WP Engine and a few others that automatically incorporate a CDN or some caching mechanisms that will help your website at a global level just load far more quickly
Yep.
than if you don't have them.
Great. So that should be a great starting point for people. So fine. So yeah, we've covered a bit about optimizing the images, and absolutely inside that we have a couple of more points as well. Like you mentioned, using the WordPress plugins and using a CDN, using a good hosting provider, and these are pretty important. And so I would say that is like tips 8.5, 8.5 and 9. Right.
Yeah.
So great. So now what more, Cody?
Oh boy. Again, we could go on and on, but I want to be as concise as possible so that it's digested appropriately by our audience. Right. Same. What I'm saying is I'm practicing right now what I'm preaching as well. So tip number 9 would be to do an internal link audit. And what I say internal link audit, you can use a tool called Screaming Frog. If your website isn't larger than 500 URLs, then it's absolutely free. If you have a bigger website, it's really not expensive at all. But screamingfrog.co.uk is an amazing crawler. It's a bit more advanced than some others, and it does have a bit of a learning curve. But basically, you plug in your domain, and you can see any of your internal or your links within your website or all of your URLs. It will tell you which ones are broken. And if they're broken, not only does it provide a bad user experience because they click on it and they just go to a 404 page, it will help fix that issue, but it'll also allow you to provide a proper link and pass authority from that particular page to a page that you want to pass authority to. That's going to be a big help when it comes to the UX and overall authority portion of your website. I would also throw in, you want to make sure that you're linking out to very trusted sources, citing those sources and linking out to them. You don't necessarily have to make these links a do follow, but in a lot of cases you certainly can. This allows for you to, again, be more authoritative. I would make sure that they open these links in a new tab so that your page still remains open, so that they can quickly go back to it. But again, you're citing your sources, and that's a key indicator, if you will, for ranking when it comes to Google. When you're publishing information, again, going back to say an attorney, if I'm publishing information on the state's laws, then I'm probably going to want to link out to those laws, right? And that just, again, provides a better UX for your users. And in addition to that, you can have a lot of control over where you're wanting to pass equity and things like that.
Great. That's a lot. Oh my God. It's like, it's a lot of lot of tips out there. Okay, let's do one thing, Cody. This is the final tip. What is that final tip that's out of your box? What is that final one for the on-page optimization?
When it comes to if I were to basically gauge my final tip is, hey, don't overthink this too much. If you have quality content, if you have a quality title tag and description, you're going to inherit links but there are other.
Cody, I think you're dropping. Your voice is not clear.
Can you hear me now? Is this okay?
Yes, Cody. Yes. Yes, you can start from the tip 10. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Oh, again, it stopped. I think, Mithun, is this the problem from our side or?
No, Santila, our internet is stable, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Now,
let me.
now it's good, Cody. Yeah. Please continue.
Okay. So final tip, don't overthink. If you have a
Oh, Cody, again, it stopped.
let's see.
See, the moment you're speaking out, it's stopping, it's slowing down. Is someone on your Wi-Fi watching Netflix?
No, no one's on my Wi-Fi watching Netflix. Hang on one second.
Okay.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep. No, it's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right. So my final beat over, right?
Cody, just 1 second now. Again, I'm so sorry. This is again, it happened. Well,
Hmm.
step number 10 is not wanting us to cover, it seems.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got a gigabit down here, guys. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, let's try it again, Cody.
Let's see here. I'm just going to do a quick test to make sure my bandwidth is still solid.
I think now it's
It
good.
it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wow. Yeah, something's actually wrong with my internet.
Oh, okay.
Well, either way, we'll give this a shot, and hopefully that will beat not over.
Okay. It's dropping.
Son of a gun.
Or you want to try logging it again, maybe disconnect and get back again on a mobile connection or something?
Yeah, let me pull off the. Let me go ahead pull in, and that will probably resolve the issue.
Sure. No problem. Yeah.
My phone. How about now, guys? Is that better?
Okay. Yeah. Good. It's good now.
Well,
Oh my God. Again.
if
Um, hey, Cody, actually, you can try dialing the number. I think there should be a local number that you can dial. Mithun, can you share the number? So maybe
see it, the
Cody can
problem
share.
is I think you're going to have a totally different experience. You switch me from voice,
Mhm.
and then we go to phone. It's just you're going to hear me a lot different. So the tail end of the podcast will be quite odd.
So now I
Um,
think, can you continue in the same flow? I think now it's working fine.
okay. So my final tip would be to not overthink things too much. Obviously, we've went through a lot of information, but if you spend a lot of time and energy focused on building a good piece of content, a very valuable, comprehensive piece of content on your website, you have, you have your title tag optimized, you have your heading tags optimized, you've leveraged LSI or latent semantic indexing, and you've added those types of keywords to your page. The next step here is share it on your social media channels, and in fact, in a lot of cases, you can boost that post on Facebook and Instagram to get a bit more shares, a bit more likes, a bit more signals coming from the social platforms. One thing that's totally underutilized nowadays is Pinterest. Now, it doesn't work for every business, but it can work in a lot of them. When you're sharing these posts on your Facebook page, and you're actually boosting that post to your core audience, you're going to get shares, you're going to get likes, and these individual shares and not necessarily likes, but your shares will actually help boost your audience and the way that people view the content. You're going to get more readers, and the more people that you capture, the more opportunity you have to get more inbound links to that piece of content. It's not something that is the number one important thing to do, but it's, again, I would say a cherry on top for you to be able to leverage your network, leverage your social profiles and social audiences to get more engagement on these pages. Again, Google really likes engagement, and the way that you can parlay what you've done and take a bit of a shortcut is to share it on social media to get some shares and to get in front of your audience.
Perfect. So that sums up pretty much it. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Cody. It's been a pleasure to have you in our episodes, in our show. A lot of such interesting insights, a lot of key takeaways for people to note down. And thank you so much once again. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
You know what? Not at this time. I think based on the information that we've shared today, these are 101 level SEO practices. There is so much more to search engine optimization, but if you carry out these tips and tricks, if you will, or these techniques in your SEO strategy, whether you're doing it as a business owner or whether you're doing it as a brand manager or marketing manager, these things will have a positive impact on your SEO success and organic ranking results. That, like I said, there's so much more we could go into, but let's start with the first things first and getting these initial 101 level things taken care of. As you go through the checklist on the Stan Fencher's blog, I recommend going through it in its entirety, because there's a lot more of these techniques and more advanced techniques that you can apply to your own SEO campaigns.
Absolutely. So guys, we'll be linking out to that blog post that Cody is referring to. So you guys can check that out. And Cody, once again, thank you so much. So the listeners, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. We thoroughly hope that you enjoyed it. And there's quite a lot of takeaways out here. So feel free to share your comments. Feel free to share your opinions and suggestions, how we should improve this further. We'd be glad to take it up and improve the show further. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Cody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.